What's up, guys? Ice Dog here. So in this video, I'm going to showcase some items that are important for your sorceress early on and throughout the game. Because as we all know, that's the most important fucking thing to talk about right now. So let's get down to it. So what you need to find for your Bayman. Really, one of the best items to find initially would be gold Dagger. Now, I know a lot of you dogs like the Blade of Alibaba, but that's a bitch to equip. You have to up your dex or dex glitch it or whatevs. And gold Dagger doesn't require shit to use. And it has more MF than Alibaba without any additional socketed jewels or ist runes. So at their base, you get more MF off gold Dagger anyway. And fuck the gold fine. And a little bit of mana, alright, that you get off Alibaba. Because gold Dagger is a hog. Basically, you can find this very early on. Shit, you can find this in Tristram when you're running it with your dogs in normal mode. And it's a massive boost of MF, which you could really use for a long time throughout the game. So keep your little toads out for a gold Dagger. Alright, I've probably found one or two in the past several ladder resets on PD2 and even Path of Diablo. I've probably found 2 gold Daggers. So it's just a bitch to find, really. I think you're more likely to find them in normal mode. And of course, we only play so much of normal mode. We don't play much of it at all, in fact. So maybe you could bring a high level and farm it if you really wanted to. Just constantly farm Act 1 later in normal mode, but it's kind of a waste of time. But if you find this shit, it's a nice item to have. And if you wanted to, you could even socket it and put an ist rune in it or whatever else. But like I said, Alibaba has more potential for overall MF. But gold Dagger is just easy to equip, and at its base it actually has more MF. So another item to keep your little toads out for is Death's Fathom. Now this is a big one, alright? And I didn't mean to have this one on this early in the list, but fuck it. I recently attained a Death's Fathom in Project Diablo 2. It's the first one I've ever found. I believe I found it in the Chaos Sanctuary Hell mode. It's a very rare item. One of the more rare items in the game, in fact. It's just potentially can be a step up for a Cold Sorc, because unlike Aki and Hodo, which do give 3 skills, and which do give FCR, in fact they give more FCR, the trade-off is with Fathom is that you get up to 30% increased cold damage. So there's of course diminishing returns. It's not going to be added to your overall cold damage. All your synergies and percentage points and shit are going to factor in. But you're going to get a noticeable amount of damage, alright? So with mine, I think I noticed it gave her like 30% increase or 20% increased damage or something of that sort. So it's pretty nice, depending on the skill you use as well. So with mine, Blizzard, it added like 1200 damage to her Blizzard. So you can get optimal damage with this thing. And of course, you can socket it as well and put a cold facet in it to even pierce enemy cold res, if you put a perfect 5/5 cold facet in it, for example. So Death's Fathom often is an endgame item for Cold Sorcs, and even better perhaps is that you get crazy style points for using this. It's not unusual for a rather seasoned Diablo 2 player to not even know what the fuck Death's Fathom is. I remember back in the day, I was already playing this game for a few years, and they said, oh, I found Fathom. I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, Death's Fathom. I was like, what? He was like, hell yeah, I found Fathom. I was like, what the toad? And I looked it up. I was like, shit, I've never even seen this item before. This item's toad. And it really is. You know, you get crazy style points for using it, which, like I said, is very important. And the mods on it shouldn't be underlooked. The fact that it gives up to 40 lightning and up to 40 fire. I think the range is, it might even be 20 to 40 each, or is it 30 to 40? I can't recall. I feel like, or it could be 25 to 40. I think that's what it is. But nonetheless, If you get high res rolls on this, you know, that can be potentially 80% to your resists. And they're very important ones as well. Fire and lightning, they do a lot of damage, as you toads know, when your enemies pop or when they explode or when they're just blasting you with novas and shit or lightning. So I mean, yeah, it's very important, and it can be rather defensive. So that's the thing about Death's Fathom. Unlike Aki or Hodo, it doesn't give all res, but it gives a lot of res to two of the ones that really matter, all right? Now, you're going to have to make up for the lack of FCR compared to those two other items mentioned with gear. So you might want to have an ARAC or two 10 FCR rings or something of that sort. Just try to make up for that shit, or a godly as fuck rare circlet that gives FCR. But nonetheless, yeah, Death's Fathom is a true slug. So keep an eye out for that. Very high level item. You can't find it anywhere other than 85 areas, I believe. Aki is just the go-to for beginner and mid-range sorks, because it's quite common. It's a swirling crystal. You can find this thing from Nightmare Mephisto, for example. Hell, I think you can find it from normal Baal if you get really lucky, and beyond. You can find it from Endariel, I believe, in Nightmare, Mephisto in Nightmare, and all the areas in between, to my understanding. So yeah, Aki it's very nice. It gives 3 to Sorc skill levels, the 30 FCR, just very nice mods all around. It even gives you 50 MF. There's a lot of endgame Sorcs who wear this just because overall it's such a nice, handy item. And even the 5 men after each kill really adds up. Now, the problem is it has a 25% chance to cast level 1 teleport when struck, and many will bitch that this is a detriment to their sorceress, especially in hardcore. If you're in hardcore, you probably don't want to use this. But the thing is, in softcore, there are times when this mod actually saves you, and there are times when it kills you. Overall, I feel like my using it actually saved me more than it killed my Sorc. It saved her more than it put her in a dangerous situation, because it'll often do that. And then hopefully you have enough faster hit recovery to where you can recover and teleport away from the mob of enemies that Aki just teleported you into. But Aki's a toad, so keep an eye out for Aki. Now here's something that is another... this item's controversial, alright? Because it's really for style points. More so than Fathom. You know, Fathom has some practical use, but Astuta's Temper, it kind of sucks. You have, say, a Lightning Sorc who does 40k light damage with Hodo on, and then you equip Astuta's, and you're going to be doing 41k lightning damage. It's fucking bullshit. So really, it's a rare item that that just didn't quite make it to be godly. It'd be something to really look out for. But it's still, and in the rare occasion, you'll find this early on before you can even find an Aki. It's quite rare, however. But basically, you can cast fast as fuck with it. It has 40 FCR, has 3 to Sorc skills, just like Aki and Hodo. But the benefit is it gives 20 to lightning and fire skill damage, 20%. But with all the diminishing returns from your synergies, because you're just in the hundreds or thousands of percentile points when it comes to buffed damage for your fire or lightning skills, it's not a realistic 20% overall, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to give you like 1,000 damage added to your 40,000 already damage, which, like I said, it's bullshit. But of course, unlike Hodo, you can socket this and put a facet in it, and then you're piercing the res a little bit. So you can't do that with Hodo, but it's generally just, the juice ain't worth the squeeze with this thing in general, I think. Unless if you easily have all your res already maxed with other gear and you don't have to make any compromises, then maybe you would want to equip this over Hodo. Another thing is it gives you style points. I remember a couple seasons ago, I met a sorceress in-game, and the bitch told me that she got all her high runes from farming Chaos Sanctuary. Because I looked at her gear, I was like, holy shit, you're rich as fuck. And she made mention of that. The women told me how she uses her Astuta's Temper in the Chaos Sanctuary, and she just zaps the shit out of everything with lightning. And that's how she found all her high runes, all right? So I remember that incident, that moment in time, and I envied her. And I wanted a sorceress. I wanted a godly as fuck sorceress. And I wanted her to have a Judas Temper because it's just unusual. And it's a cool little item. You know, it looks cool. It's small, and it gives you a lot of FCR. I think more than, I can't remember. Does Hodo give you 30 or 40? I've been playing modded Diablo 2, so they've all been fucked in different ways or altered. Let's see what Hodo gives you. Hodo gives you 40 as well. So it matches Hodo's MF, or faster cast rate. But it is better than Aki's faster cast rate. So yeah, but Hodo is often an endgame Sorc item. So you have to keep your eyes out for high runes. You have to find a Vex rune and a Pull rune and a Ko rune, obviously, to make this. Kos are very easily attainable. Pulls a little less so. You can get them from Nightmare Forge and Hell Forge. So if you're lucky, you'll get one there. But of course, the tough rune to get here is a Vex rune. Now, Vex is kind of the beginning of very rare runes. So you might get lucky and find one or trade for one. Then you just need a 40s flail, all right, or a 40s crystal sword or whatevs. I prefer to make them in a flail, personally. I think they look really nice in the flail. But yeah, Hodo gives you all res 40, up to 40, gives you 30 to 40 all res. So if you get lucky, you'll get a high res roll. And the good thing about Hodo is it's very in demand. So you can trade these. I recall meeting guys in like early to mid ladder, and they would make Hodos just to trade them because they say, well, if I can roll a 38 plus Hodo for Rizal, then someone's going to give me a high rune for it. So basically, I traded a Vex and a Pull rune and a 40s flail for, say, a low rune or something. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you get a perfect 40 Rizal, shit, someone might give you a Burge off for that, which are very valuable. So Hodo is very versatile as the thing. It's very in demand. Pretty much everybody and their mama wants a Hodo, and she doesn't even play Diablo 2. So you can use it on droids, you can use it on sorceresses or some assassins who use it, even necromancers in some cases. Sometimes barbarians have it on Switch for BO. Just everyone wants a fucking Hodo, and they're very nice items. I intend to make one in Diablo 2 Resurrected. So yeah, these are basically items you want to keep an eye out for Diablo 2 Resurrected, and just to get a basis for what do Sorcs like to equip in terms of their weapon slot. Wizard Spike is very defensive, 75 Res-all, so crazy Res-all, ton of mana, 2 per character level, I believe, 50 FCR, so 10% more than even Hodo or Judas Temper, increased max mana. Yeah, but the Res-all is just crazy, and it doesn't give any skills, so that's the compromise. You can, of course, put a facet in this thing. So in some cases, you'll want to have this item. And you could just try to get, your damage from elsewhere, gear with facets or things like that. But it helps you meet FCR breakpoints and just have a massive pool of damage. Crescent Moon is kind of unusual, but for Lightning Sorcs, it's something you might want to try out, because Cold Mastery, of course, pierces enemy cold res. But Fire and Lightning Mastery don't offer that in LOD Classic Diablo 2 and most likely Diablo 2 Resurrected. They just add damage. So piercing the enemy resistance is a really big deal because they resist a lot in Hell. And it's not going to break immunities on its own. You're going to need Conviction Aura or lower res in order to break immunities potentially. But once broken, this piercing of their resistance does have effect. It's a diminished effect when you break immunities, but it still has an effect. But more often is the case where it just helps overall for enemies that aren't immune to lightning, for example, in this case. So if you fight non-lightning immune enemies, and you have now a 35 lightning resistance pierce, it's going to just do a ton more damage, and it's going to be very noticeable. So Crescent Moon might be something you want to try. Many would say that Crescent Moon, overall, you'll be doing more DPS as a Lightning Sorc than you will using a Judas Temper. And mind you, Astute's Temper gives 3 to all skills, you know what I'm saying? And increased lightning damage, which kind of is bullshit. So even without any skills, if you can pierce their lightning res by 30, 35%, you're going to be doing a ton of damage, dog. The problem is it has shit FCR. So this coupled with maybe Griffin's Eye would be a good idea. But just try to get FCR elsewhere. Viper Mage would probably be a great way to go with this item. For starters. Tal Orb is really only desirable, I think, if you have full Tal set. So if you can get full Tal set, you're going to be all right for a while. And this is the one that you're going to want to make early on as soon as possible. You should have one of these by early Nightmare at the latest. Some have mentioned how you can farm normal cows and get a broadsword or a crystal sword and then Larzik socket it, and they say that'll give you 4 sockets. Don't take my word for it. You got to look that up. Look up on the Ariat Summit website item base levels and where they can be found, and the item base level required in a, say, crystal or broadsword in order to get 4 sockets from Larzik Quest. So that's kind of it for the video. I mean, something else you could try is Infinity. Shit. Infinity is something that you'll see a sorceress equipped with in a very rare situation. Again, it pierces enemy light res by a lot, by 45 to 55% or something like that. So a hell of a lot more than Crescent Moon. Granted, it takes up your shield slot as well. But the thing is, it has the Conviction Aura, so you benefit off both of those. And it should be worth mentioning that with Crescent Moon, really the only mod you're going to benefit from as a caster is going to be the piercing enemy lightning resistance, along with the 2 mana after each kill. The chance on striking mods are not applicable when you're casting. That's only when you're hitting with your weapon in a melee or ranged sort of way. So don't count on any of those other mods. And the same can be said about Infinity. Now, it's of course more often the case where someone will have Infinity on their mercenary, on their Act 2 mercenary. And then you'll entirely take advantage of the Conviction Aura as long as your mercenary is in the enemy's proper radius, which might be like 15 or 20 yards or something in that range, or 12 yards, 12 Diablo yards, which might be different from real life yards. It's a good amount of space. Usually they can cover most of the screen. It can affect most of the screen, but nonetheless, there are some instances where the sorceress will wield Infinity. This is primarily due to the fact that piercing enemy light res on this weapon will only apply to the enemies that the character equipped with this item are hitting. All right, so it's not going to have any effect with your sorceress lightning damage if your mercenary is equipped with this Infinity. But if you do have it on your sorceress, you're going to be able to take advantage of that mod as well, where not only will you have Conviction Aura, but you're also going to be able to pierce enemy lightning res by a lot, in addition to the piercing that your Conviction Aura is already doing. So yeah, you're really going to pierce the shit out of their light res, and it can be a great way to go. In Project Diablo 2, the mod for Season 3 coming up very soon, they actually added faster cast rate to base staffs, and you can make Infinity in a staff in Project Diablo 2. You can't do that in LOD Classic or Diablo 2 Resurrected or any of those things. But which is a good idea, because now there's great incentive to make Infinity in a staff and let your sorceress use it. Because now with Infinity, not only can you take advantage of the Conviction Aura, and not only are you going to pierce the hell out of their lightning res with the piercing mod as well, but you're going to have 85 faster cast rate if you make it in an elite staff. Because another addition in PD2 Season 3 is the fact that Infinity rolls with 35 FCR at its base. So very nice mods, and I intend to attempt to go that route in Project Diablo 2 Season 3, but these are basically items you want to look out for in Diablo 2 Resurrected, in Diablo 2 LOD Classic, and in most Diablo 2 mods, all right? So if you guys will like this damn video, let me know in the comments, what items do you think Iceboy missed in this video? What do you like to equip on your Sorceress, maybe early on or even endgame that I haven't mentioned here? And what are your opinions on these items? I'd like to thank my patrons for supporting me as you have. I have a lot of patrons right now, so pretty damn pleased with that. I am cheap as fuck with my lifestyle, so your contributions go a long ways. So thank you guys. Yeah, I drive used cars and shit. You know, I ain't got a car loan or nothing, and I just try to keep them expenses down. So every time I get a Patreon, this is really good, man. I'm hoping to buy some land soon as well. Hopefully pay it off, but we'll see how that goes. And then every patron I get or whatnot, I'll just get rich as fuck, because ideally, you know, I'm gonna have less bills. You know what I'm saying? So thank you guys for supporting me as you have, and may your finances be blessed, those of you who support me, and may you have many wives. Peace be with you.